Okinawa police blasted for searching home of researcher exposing U.S. military waste issues.
Here's a summary of the article.
Naha. A home search conducted earlier this month on a butterfly researcher suspected of forcible obstruction of business by placing U.S. military waste in front of a training area gate in northern Okinawa Prefecture has prompted criticism of the Okinawa Prefectural Police from the researcher and multiple civic groups. On June 4, Okinawa Prefectural Police searched the home of Akino Miyagi, 42, who has been exposing the presence of massive amounts of military waste left by U.S. forces in part of a former training area in northern Okinawa Prefecture that U.S. troops returned to Japan. Miyagi said that police told her their actions were due to suspicions that she had placed U.S. military waste on the road to a gate into Camp Gonsalves, also known as the Northern Training Center, and thereby hindered U.S. military vehicles' passage, which constituted forcible obstruction of business. The waste Miyagi allegedly put on the road before the gate included broken bottles and bags from field rations believed to have been used by U.S. military troops prior to part of the training area's return to Japan. It was then that Miyagi, in a sign of protest against the U.S. military and the Japanese government, began frequently placing military waste in bags in front of a gate to the Northern Training Center. 4 civic organizations, including the Okinawa Hiwa Shimin Renrakukai, released a statement on June 10 saying that, the U.S. military has abandoned its responsibility to return the land to its former state, and the Japanese government has never confronted the issue of military waste head-on. The Japanese government submitted a proposal to UNESCO to register as Natural World Heritage Sites Amami-Oshima Island and Tokunishima Island in Kagoshima Prefecture as well as the northern part of the main Okinawa Island, including the Yambaru forests, where a portion of the northern training area was returned to Japan, and Iriomote Island in Okinawa Prefecture.
This post received a score of 6,100, with an upvote ratio of 96%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Greater than Miyagi says that initially prefectural police would recover bullets and ammunition she found in the returned area and reported. It was then that Miyagi, in a sign of protest against the U.S. military and the Japanese government, began frequently placing military waste in bags in front of a gate to the Northern Training Center. On April 7, she took waste she found out of a bag and placed it directly on the road to the gate. Reasonable to expect this waste to be disposed properly.
As a former soldier, the amount of waste the Army produces is explicitly not recorded in order to prevent publication. Several thousand tons of food are wasted a day. That's confirmed. We blew 5 crates of 120mm Sabo rounds because the armory officer didn't want to do the paperwork to sign the ammo back in. It gets so much worse.
Yeah, I love paying for that. It's so much more worthwhile than school lunches, insulin, or reliable healthcare. Gee, by golly, I do love our military budget.
The irony is so much waste happens and we actually need the money to be allocated in other areas, like R&D and training, but because of careless bureaucrats the system has been allowed to fester to the point it's at. If we continue to waste our resources we will die.
Like when Congress ordered a bunch of tanks the Army didn't want.
Congress is out to fucking lunch in regards to the Army. They need to have a real sit-down with the Joint Chiefs and have a real talk, no fluff queue and a session for a few days. Cutting military training while increasing punishment for alleged abuses while not reinforcing positive behavior to deter abuses. There's a lot of mind games happening to the Canadian soldiers. Courtesy of the current administration's complete lack of oversight has switched 3 times recently because of some super nefarious stuff.
In the US they don't care about the waste because their constituents don't care about the waste. More accurately, they are fine with the silly spending as long as they get a piece of it. The overspending on a bunch of tanks the Army didn't want was a lot of money for a number of congressional districts after all. It's the whole trickle-down trap.
It was also a lot of money for the people who helped push it through.
Greater than what should be investigated is not Ms. Miyagi's home, but the part of the former training center that was returned to Japan. Fucking blasted, I hate these titles so much.
#SLAMMED.
#LAMBASTAD. You based lamb.
No Rape, No Base, No Tears by Jesse Kindig. In places like Okinawa, Japan, its bases foster an environment of sexual violence against women.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.